Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 40 of the Digital Quill podcast. This is a very special episode because I have a very special guest with me. They have been integral in helping me with my Discord community, amongst other things, including giving me just a little bit of a confidence boost in creating this project, amongst many others. I'd like you guys to meet them. Please introduce yourself.
Hello everybody, my name is Aether. I am your friendly neighborhood non-binary tavern keeper over on Twitch. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. Now, in 5 words or less, please tell me you have heard other podcast episodes, because you've given me the confidence, and I want to see... It's okay if you haven't. It's a weird show. Just want to forewarn you, if you haven't heard any of the episodes, it's a weird show.
I have frequently gone back and checked some of your episodes just for audio quality, so I can give you a heads up.
And you were actually one of the very first people to mention the audio quality. How is that improved in your opinion?
Dramatically. At first it was a little bit quiet, you were kind of getting drowned out by other sounds. Now it's kind of nice and crisp, so people are really hearing you as you're talking now, so very much so an improvement from when you started to now.
I want to thank you for that one. As I've said, guys and gals and everyone else, thank you again, Aether, for being on this show, for being a part of this project of mine. Your words, your experience, I value it so much, and I want to actually talk about that experience today. Let's get into maybe your VTuber history or your Twitch streaming, like just anything in that realm, and then maybe we'll dive into other stuff after a while.
Okay, yeah. So my streaming history is not as expansive as one might think. I've got a long-standing history in the Twitch sphere. I've been a career moderator for near to Twitch's inception, so it's been probably close to 10-15 years since I started moderating across Twitch, granted under another name. But I decided to pick up streaming because I felt like I had something to offer, and that still holds true. But due to my anxiety, I didn't want to put my face on screen, which in its own way felt kind of rude. You know, people want to see something. They want to see something that is, I guess, a extension of the person behind the screen. They don't just want the voice. So I set out to create something they could look at. And I started with a PNG, which was just a still image, cycled through a couple of different facial expressions as I talked. It wasn't anything fancy, but I was put onto the idea of a VTuber model, which ultimately led to the creation of my VTuber. And while I still think there needs to be some improvement on said VTuber model, it seems to be working out okay. I think it's cute. I think it's expressive enough. I think it moves around okay-ish. But, you know, VTubers get a lot of bad rap sometimes, especially from just the general online sphere. You got a camp that's all about them and a camp that is absolutely against them. And I can safely say that as a VTuber, I have experienced a lot of enrichment. It's not just about the stream, it's about the people that come through the stream. So it's been a journey, a great one so far.
Well, I will admit that at one point in the day, I seem to forget some of the stuff I've done, on either online or just in general, which I guess makes sense when you are neurospicy on some level. That memory doesn't always work in the way it should. I used to be on Twitch, not as a streamer, but as someone who had watched streams, and I distinctly remember at one point, if you had an Amazon Prime membership or something, you got like a free ability to have like one subscription to like a premium stream. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with anything?
Yes, so you're talking about the Prime sub. That is still something that is very much so a focal point across Twitch. Anybody with Amazon Prime, because Twitch is owned by Amazon, does in fact get a free subscription to whoever they want, which means that they get access to subscriber-only emotes, they get access to no ads, and the streamer still benefits. So it's a really nice little perk of Amazon Prime that a lot of people I don't think know about, but it's definitely a big deal, and it's always appreciated when that love gets passed on to a streamer.
I need to get a new premium and use that again, because I remember I was using that, and I have like this barely a memory of watching. I want to say the name was Captain Frost or something like that. Captain Frosty. I think they're like big time now or something. I don't know. They were Canadian too, which I thought was interesting because at the time I was probably obsessed with Canada, as I still kind of am. Those mountains are calling me. But you are like the first streamer I'm going to start watching actively again. So I'm excited because like the one stream I'd hopped on that one time, I like how chill and cozy it is. It didn't feel like, I don't know, a bad place to be, if that makes sense. Like, I felt welcomed and invited, so I will be a return human in the future. And I think other people listening should join when Aether posts on it, the Discord, or just their channel in general, because you have notifications set up, right, when you go live and stuff?
Oh yeah, my Discord's set up for notifications, and typically I keep a schedule. There are some weeks that I don't, just because I might have things going on, but I typically keep a schedule. I'm usually live all days except Thursday and Sunday. So, granted, usually later at night. Monday is an earlier stream, but you can usually catch me at the end of your day when you're trying to get some sleep, but you can't quite get there. People come by and just chill in the chat and relax and hopefully doze off. Maybe not counting sheep, but there's some cozy games.
What are some of your favorite games that you've streamed recently?
So right now, there's a big focus on modded Stardew Valley, but that's like a favorite of a lot of people, so it's not surprising. But we do a lot of Stardew Valley. I'm frequently joined by my VIPs and my moderators, so they pop in and join on the farm. Light Year Frontier is another take on a cozy game that's a little bit different because you're doing farming in a mech instead of on the ground. So that adds an interesting little, I guess, aspect to it. I tried to play Sunhaven. People weren't really into Sunhaven. It's a little bit of a slower game, so I understand.
Is Sunhaven that like witchy one?
Yeah, it's kind of like witchy Stardew Valley.
Ooh.
Yep, and then Dinkum, which anybody who likes Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley will absolutely adore Dinkum. It's pretty much just that, only it takes place in a map that's inspired by Australia and New Zealand.
I'm gonna take a note here. How do you spell that?
Dinkum.
Kind of like how it sounds. I like that.
Yeah, I gather that it's a word that is used in Australia for like a festival. I think that one of my peers referred to it as a Dinkum celebration.
That is actually really
Yeah.
cute. Okay, I'm gonna have to check this out for sure later. Note taken, and I am checking that out.
It's a lot of fun.
Now, Is there any like wild streamer stories you've had, either something you've witnessed or like a raid you encountered? Because I am still barely scratching the surface on what raids are. And actually, perfect time. Explain what raids are, because I need to hear it again, for one. And two, I think it might be something that would be cool for the viewers who've never heard of Twitch or aren't on Twitch to like hear about. So, in your words, please.
Well, so a raid is effectively when a streamer ends out, they have the option to just end stream or move their viewership over to another streamer. So typically, it's kind of like a term that we frequently use is dropping off the kids. So when a streamer ends out, they can raid into another stream and bring their community with them to watch that streamer. So in my case, a lot of people will raid into my stream because I stream later at night. So a lot of them are ending off around the time that I'm starting up. So they'll drop off their community with me to hopefully get some sleep. They'll bring their lurkers, which are just people that haven't been active. So this could be people that are asleep or they're body doubling, they're working and they just want something on in the background. Or people that are trying to tap up multiple streamers so that each streamer is getting that viewership. But ultimately what a raid is just passing your community to another streamer to look after.
Why is it framed as such a negative thing? That raid sounds so horrible.
No, so the reason that it's referred to as a raid is because during the day, raids can be an interesting, chaotic event, but typically when you raid into a chat as a viewer, you have a raid message that you go in with. So you drop into the chat and you drop that raid message, and there could be a bunch of people. Depending on the size of the community, there could be a bunch of people dropping that raid message in. So it kind of overtakes the chat for a little while. And we usually have really fun side effects that play. Sounds, songs, clips, things like that play whenever somebody raids in. So it's usually a kind of loud, festive event. So a bunch of people coming in, it's loud, it's riotous. It makes sense that it's a raid.
Now, if I wanted to avoid the chaos of the raids, what would be my best bet? Because that sounds highly overstimulating and something I might need to be prepared for.
So you yourself have a lot of options for customization when it comes to like the sounds that play on your stream and stuff like that. There's a lot of third-party programs that we make use of, such as Mix It Up. Mix It Up is probably one of the bigger ones. And you can easily set it up where you're not playing this loud noise. You don't have to have like a bunch of chat notification sounds that play. You can have something small and subtle that lets you know, hey, you're being raided. You can have a message that pops up on your screen that says, hey, you're being raided. This is who's raiding you. It doesn't have to be as chaotic. I am unfortunately extremely ADHD, so my ability to pay attention to things like that sometimes lacks. I'm pretty good at interacting with my chat, so I usually catch it. But I want to know who raided me, so I've got it set up on my stream where it says so-and-so is raiding with a party of X amount. And that way I know who I need to shout out in the chat so that my own community can go and find them as well. So raid is very mutually beneficial. You might raid into a chat, but you're also likely getting a shout out, which means that community is also still finding you as well. It's like a circular benefit.
Community bridge building.
Yeah, so I like to describe Twitch as a larger community of overarching sub-communities, its own little ecosystem.
How many categories on Twitch are there? I know earlier you mentioned off record here that there was like just a chat category, but like what else does Twitch do besides everything already just mentioned?
So, shoot, what can't you do on Twitch? um, so every video game under the sun. Um, there's retro. If you're not playing a specific game, but you're playing like older games, there's just chatting. There's cooking. There is just sleeping. Yes, that is a category, and yes, people show up to watch people sleep. It's creepy, but it's a thing. Um, let's see. There is in real life, so people that are vlogging their day to day. The vlog is an option. Um, I believe that vlogging, it's like podcasting and stuff like that is also an option, but I will have to check that. So give me just a quick moment to verify my own information. But I'm pretty sure podcasting is an option on here. Let's see. Yep, talk shows and podcasts. There is literally innumerable categories that you can draw upon for Twitch. Because it's really not just catered at video games. Obviously, gaming has taken over the Twitch scene. It's going to happen, but it's not just designed for gaming. It is very much so designed for streaming whatever you want to stream, except copyrighted material. Don't do that because that's there's so many reasons not to do that. But the obvious one is that's going to come back to bite you instead.
So, say I'm multifaceted. What if I wanted to do my podcast, my blog, and a little bit of game streaming here and there? Because somehow I managed to achieve an HDMI converter thingy.
Well, then all you got to do is when you're setting up your stream, you go into your stream manager, you go to your details, and you change your category. Just like that. Each stream can be of a different category. It just helps people
Find it.
find what they're looking for on Twitch. Yep.
Interesting. Okay. We might have to do some lessons someday, you and I, just not right now.
You know my DMs are always open for questions.
I appreciate that. Now,
Of course.
off the digital realm of life, I hear in the whispers of the wind that you are a big fan of food and cooking.
That might be a bit of an understatement, given that professionally I achieved sous chef through informal training, which means no schooling. I just jumped in as a dishwasher and worked my way up to a sous chef. So
I'm so glad you jumped in and corrected me on that, because I needed you to say it out loud, because I didn't want to say what I learned about that from our conversations. As someone who is a foodie and loves art and food, one, again, thank you so dang much for being on the show, and two, also helping me, and two, food. You know the food stuff. That is so cool. You've taught me a little thing here and there about like potatoes and different like methods, and I just need to ask, where does the love of food come from? If that's an okay question to ask. Like, what made you work from dishwasher to sous chef?
So, growing up, I actually did not have a lot of interest in cooking. In fact, I had no talent for it, to be completely honest. It wasn't until I discovered that I had. So, there is a recessive gene that exists within us as a species that is enhanced taste buds. Well, not necessarily enhanced taste buds, but it's your ability to translate taste into information better. Now, typically, you end up with people that fall into taste testers or food reviewers and stuff like that when they hit this. But I was like, okay, if I can do this, if I can take a bite of something and pick out every single seasoning that goes into it, almost without fail, as long as I have already tasted that seasoning, or every single sauce, or if it's got this amount of sugar, this amount of brown sugar, the distinction, why shouldn't I try to make my own? So I ended up falling into deli work for a while. Granted, I spent a lot of time taste testing cheeses and meats, whether they were deli meats, deli cheeses, or specialty cheeses from the cheese shop. Just getting to know these flavors and pairing them together, not just with each other, but like with other things. Like, I bet you didn't know that a nice sharp cheddar pairs well with coffee,
I
and a
actually did not
nice
know that.
dark, a nice black coffee actually pairs well with fresh strawberries.
Wow.
So like, I basically just took what I was, I suppose, biologically enabled to accomplish, thinking that this was a normal thing, that everybody tasted things the way that I tasted things, and applied it to what I could create, which ended up leading me into the complexities of Asian cooking, because that is, in my opinion, one of the most layered and complicated flavor indexes that the world over has ever seen. And I'm not just talking one country. Japan's got some to offer. Vietnam's got some to offer. The Philippines, Korea, China, India, all of Asia Major has a different flavor from every region of every country that makes up that particular place. So I fell into Asian cooking. And that's what I stuck with. I stuck with Asian cooking. Now, it's not to say I can't cook other things. I absolutely can, and decently at the very least. But I can I get really excited about making something Asian food. Shoyu pork is one of my favorite things to make. Korean curry, um, Korean stir fry. I like a lot of the Korean foods. Things like that, I get excited to make those things.
So, I'm going to be open and honest. I don't know if you know about some of my more quieter food missions. I might talk about them, I might not, I don't remember, but I'm on the mission to create homemade ramen with the least amount of ingredients possible because I have a small kitchen. I get distracted easily. I'm one person and I don't know how to do multiple steps. I need to start small and I want ramen. I don't want packaged ramen. I want egg, I want pork, I want noodle, and I want seasoning and other stuff. I don't know what to do. Is there a chance that you can simplify a ramen recipe into like simple ADHD, sensory, autism, brain sensory friendly steps?
So
I have an Instant Pot if
you
that
can,
helps.
well, I'm gonna be honest, push that to the side.
Okay.
So that's not gonna be necessary. So if you're doing it with the least amount of ingredients and likely somewhat on a budget,
Yes.
um, you
Yes.
can pick up a ham bone from most butchers. Just the bone, a little bit of scraps on it, but you're just after that bone. You want to boil the absolute heck out of that bone. Just that. You're trying to create a beef stock. You can add salt, pepper, flavorings, of course, but you're just trying to create a nice, solid beef stock. Or not beef stock, ham stock. This is going to be consistent with like your typical like tonkatsu ramen, which is like the traditional pork ramen.
That's kind of what I'm
You
after.
can also, well, that would be the route to go. You can also pick up little ham steaks at your local grocery store that work out perfect too. And all you got to do is get them a nice, good little like pan sear, just enough to get them nice, like a nice little crust on them.
Hmm.
For those that are inclined to spam, I've seen a lot of use both in Japanese culinary, Hawaiian culinary, and American culinary, adapting spam for ramen. That I've seen a lot of. For your eggs, this one's a little bit more technical, but what you want to do is before you boil your eggs, you want to take like a sewing pin, okay, and you want to poke a hole in the bottom of the egg, like just in the shell, and then you're going to boil it just like that. But you want to kind of lower it in with a spoon so it doesn't crack on the way in. That's going to get you that nice smooth consistency, and you're going to get kind of like a creaminess to the yolk, which I know a lot of people don't like, but it's going to be solid, but not quite solid, kind of a silky texture. From there, you want to take soy sauce and oyster sauce in even amounts and mix that up real good, and then add a little bit of water, and you're going to soak your eggs in that overnight. That's going to get you that ramen egg. It's not going to be an onsen egg, which is far better, but let's be honest, who has the time to go hunt down a hot spring to make an onsen egg? But this will get you that nice flavor index. From there, all you got to do is take your noodles, make them like you normally would in water, no big deal, boil them up. Add them to your bowl, no water, do not include the water. You're going to take a ladle full of that stock that you made before and pour that on. You're going to cut your egg in half, lay that on. You're going to take, probably not the whole ham steak because they tend to be big, but take, whatever proportion works best for you. Put it down in the ramen and add things like green onion and seaweed is a popular one to add in there. Give it that umami. If you can find MSG to sprinkle a little over the top, absolutely do it. It's going to give you a depth of flavor you never thought possible. If you like corn in your ramen, add some corn. If you like carrots, add a little bit of carrots. You don't got to get too fancy or complicated with it. Just do what works. But that would be your basic foundations to get yourself a pretty simple tonkatsu style ramen at home without really breaking the bank.
I have to tell you, I had to forcibly keep my jaw closed because it was about to hit the floor. You literally just solved my months, if not years-long dilemma that I've been trying to research over and over again, and wow, thank you. You definitely earned the title chef in my eyes. Absolutely, I will be calling you Chef Aether forever.
Well, it's important to note that much like with anything, your level of cooking skill depends on your connections. Not getting out there and learning from other professionals serves you not at all. You can't grow without communicating. So that particular recipe I learned from another experienced individual that specifically specialized in ramen. And I was fascinated and traded a recipe for a recipe. And that's how I figured that one out.
I might have a recipe or two that are pretty decent that I can swap for that amazing. Thank you.
I mean, as long as it's not one of my signature dishes, I'm happy to just sell those. Or not sell those, share them.
I see. If I ever get the chance, I will make you one of my best, meanest baked potatoes on this planet because I like a plain baked potato, and getting it the right amount of buttery and perfection just as a plain baked potato is kind of hard, and I believe I've been able to achieve that feat a few different times now. One of the
You want to hear something crazy about me and baked potatoes?
Kinda, actually, yes. I like potato lore.
Controversial. It's so controversial. I like my baked potatoes to be just a little al dente.
Interesting.
I want a little bit of firmness into it, but everybody's like, you're eating a raw potato. No, I'm not. I'm eating a slightly firm potato. It's okay. I know what I'm doing.
That is, honestly, I might have to try that. How long do you bake it for? What is your style of doing that? And also why? I guess why is not a mean question. I like that, and I've never heard it before. I want to understand why.
So for why, it's a texture thing.
Okay.
I like the texture of it because I feel like there should be a distinction between like mashed potatoes and a baked potato. And I feel like when you cook a potato all the way through like that, you get too close to mashed potatoes and it defeats the purpose of the baked potato.
You have a really good
As
point there.
for, yeah, I mean, it's a hot take, it is, and not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay. That's the beauty of food. You don't have to agree. It's okay to like it done a different way. It's like the argument between blue steaks, rare steaks, medium well, and well done steaks. Everybody is going to have a problem. Do I think it's somewhat criminal to go past like a medium rare? Yes, but I'm never going to shame you for it. Like, if that's how you like to eat it how you like it.
Eat what tastes good to you. Your palate is
Exactly.
your tool, your weapon when it comes to food.
Yeah, and another thing about cooking is like texture is super important.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of people out there with texture issues. That's totally okay and valid.
There are
It's okay to
s-
be like that.
there are some things I can't eat, and there are some things texture wise I can't eat. I'm starting to have a problem where I think I don't actually like eggs like I've been thinking my entire life, because anytime I go to eat scrambled eggs or anything, like, I have to eat them uh, hard or medium boiled or soft boiled. Can't do eggs any other way. I keep trying, I keep hating them and not finishing them. That is my texture problem.
Well, let me pose this question. Have you tried them hard fried or poached?
I don't believe so.
That could be a difference. It could literally just be the springy texture of the scrambled eggs. A fried egg offers you a little bit more firmness, and a poached egg, I'm not sure how to describe that texture to you. Because all a poached egg is, you crack an egg in boiling water and let it do its thing, and then you scoop it out. Good
My
on toast with hollandaise sauce.
my body cringed at the thought of the springy egg texture. I think I figured out my problem.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
try a fried egg.
Okay, I appreciate that. I have this weird problem when it comes to food, and it's why I can't shame people for how they want to eat, cuz like, my issues stem from I don't know what my texture issues are, so I kind of just have to hope for the best. Coupled with I'm allergic to a lot of raw fruits and vegetables, so unless I want to itch for the next 4 hours, I have to be careful and timely with my allergy choices. Like, do I want to itch or do I want to avoid itching and allergy attack kind of stuff?
That I can relate to so hard. Not because of an allergy, but because of my lactose intolerance, which is painful for somebody who does actively bake. Gotta pick and choose.
You actively bake. I know you love food because baking requires another level of patience that I am learning. I will not be making zebra cake copycats again for the foreseeable future. I might try something simpler like an oatmeal cream pie cake. Is that simpler?
Um, so, hard to say, because getting the textures right on those is probably the biggest challenge. You typically end up with a product that's a little bit harder because of the thinness of what you're working with. Um, though, I might have a tip that could help you with the toughness of what's being baked. And it's a trick that I use for cheesecakes.
Hmm.
So let's say you get yourself a high rimmed like baking pan, like a cake pan almost, but you get two of them in different sizes, one smaller than the other. You place your smaller one in the middle of the larger one with, whatever you're baking inside, typically with like foil thrown over the top. And then the larger one, you fill up to your first index knuckle with water. and you bake it like that. That's going to help regulate the temperature and create the humidity and pressure that you need to get the correct texture. This works with fudge too, because fudge is all altitude. You can adjust the altitude pressure in your oven by just adding a pan of water around what you're making.
Once again, I am floored by knowledge. I really need to experiment more. And read more. And ask more questions.
Always ask questions. Always experiment. Always jump out of your comfort zone.
Something that I'm starting to like more and more as years progress in my life. I kind of kept myself trapped in a box when I was still kind of living with my family. Different conversations for different days. You're welcome to ask questions about it. But yeah, I knew I needed to get out, and being curious is probably what killed the cat, I've heard, but honestly, if that's what kills me, great. I like being curious. I like asking questions. I don't think I ever really stopped liking that. Just couldn't for a while.
When it comes to curiosity killed the cat, it does end with a follow-up saying that says the satisfaction brought it back.
No one says that. No one says the follow-up saying. What?
Yep. The full saying is curiosity killed the cat, but the satisfaction brought it back.
Is that where they get the 9 lives thing from?
It is kind of the play on with it, but also it seems that cats somehow managed to get themselves into all this trouble and still persist. But yeah, the idea is you're supposed to risk it. If you don't risk anything, you don't enrich yourself. It's the entire point of learn from your mistake so you don't repeat them. It's the same deal with cooking, with writing, with drawing. Any one of your crafts that you commit to, that you're interested in, if you don't jump out of that comfort zone just for the sake of curiosity, you're never going to get that satisfaction in that lesson on how to do it better next time.
Wow.
So I think it's really important to kind of risk it for the biscuit, so to speak.
I knew I needed to be risking it more, but maybe I really need to go full throttle and just dive. And not even dive, just jump. Like I'm hanging out in the at the International Space Station, and I need to jump. Don't know where I'll land.
Also, never let the intrusive thoughts win when you have a fire in your kitchen. Do not smother it with flour. Please do not smother it with flour. Use salt. There's your safety quip from Aether today.
Why salt and not... Is flour combustible?
Any fine powder is combustible. So if you try to smother a fire with flour, cinnamon, any one of your powdered, like fine powdered seasonings, powdered sugar, you're going to create a fire cloud. So salt is heavy and is crystalline, and it works perfect for putting out a fire if you're trying to smother it. So if you got a bag of salt and a bag of like flour,
grab the
bag of salt. Yes, or if you've got granulated sugar, that will work just fine too.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with the salt.
I mean, either or works. As long as it is heavy and granular and crystalline structure and not a powdered structure, you're good to go.
I have now learned fire safety today, and that is another thing I've been wondering about, because I had this visualization in my head. I'm like, what happens if a fire breaks out in the kitchen? You know, a momentary bout of panic that I get every now and again for random reasons and no reasons at all. I'm like, maybe I should use the flour, but now I know that's a bad idea.
You should also not use water, because especially if it's a grease fire, the fire will not go out, but the fire will travel.
That's nice. So no water. What about like a blanket or something? Like if I have a giant towel nearby for some reason.
I would say it depends on the material. Because there are some materials that are extremely flammable, and you might end up flinging fire around your kitchen, which could lead to a lot more problems. It's typically not advised to use household fabric materials to try to smother your fire. You do risk creating more fire.
There are some very bad fire safety classes I have been in or have been around then, and I might have to actually have some fire people on at some point to talk about like all of it, like more than just what we have here and more than what we could talk about. You're streaming
Well, it's
today.
also important. Yes, I am streaming today at 11 p.m. ST. I thought I was going to do something cozy like Stardew, but it seems my mods might have other plans for me. So
Mm.
there's that.
What were you about to say? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, when it comes to fires, there is an important distinction between what kind of fire you're dealing with. Smothering a fire with a fabric could be the best course of action outside of the kitchen. But the kitchen, you have too much risk of dealing with grease fires that are caused by your cooking oil, meat fats, things like that, that you don't want to take that smothering approach.
Mm.
Because if, say, the liquid soaks into that fabric, well, guess what? You just made a Molotov cocktail out of a towel.
Are most fires kitchen fires?
Mm, I would not be the person to ask about that. I have encountered far too many kitchen fires and not enough other fires. I mean, aside from like a brush fire that kicks up after a bonfire gone wrong or a campfire gone wrong. I've been through a wildfire before. Um, and that's again just a brush fire on steroids. But when it comes to kitchen fires, I've got a lot of experience with kitchen fire, mostly having to put them out when a line cook has accidentally lit something on fire. So my expertise is definitely in the realm of kitchen fire.
I kind of like that you have a lot of knowledge, but now I have to ask, what is the silliest story you have of putting out a fire in a kitchen?
um, did you know you can light fires in a microwave?
Excuse me?
That's how I'm gonna lead with this. So I had a line cook. Okay. I need to go a little bit back and give some context. I used to work for a 2-star Michelin restaurant. It was a fast casual during the day and a fine at night. Well, we had something on the menu for April Fools. It was listed as a dare menu item, and it was a Carolina Reaper seared salad. All it was peppers, arugula, and spinach. It did contain Carolina Reapers and ghost peppers, and the first practice is to blister the peppers. Well, one of the line cooks decided he was going to try to cut corners, take a shortcut, and he oiled up the pepper and tossed it into the microwave. And we are talking about a Carolina Reaper. This is a very, very spicy pepper. Um, you don't microwave peppers. Most people that listen to this will know you don't microwave peppers. It's bad. But I was in the back working on a banquet for that night alongside my executive chef and the other sous chef. And I realized that it was getting kind of uncomfortable to breathe and that my eyes and nose were starting to burn. And then we noticed the smoke. And I ran up trying to figure out what was going on. I could not get words out. I was hacking and coughing. It was so spicy. And I realized that the smoke was coming from the microwave. And I ripped it open to find a small inferno microwave. Well, I didn't know what had caused said inferno. But I literally ran to the kitchen pantry and grabbed a whole sack of flour. Like, I didn't go and find flour there on the line because I knew it wasn't going to be enough. I went and grabbed a whole sack of flour. And when I tell you, I ripped the top off of it, made a huge mess, and kicked the microwave off of its stand and dumped flour in it. I literally did that before having to run out of the kitchen with everyone else, evacuate the kitchen, not because of the smoke, not because of the fire, but because this line cook had effectively pepper sprayed the entire restaurant. So we all had to get treated by EMS for capsaicin sensitivity, which meant that they were flushing our eyes, our nasal passages, our throats. It canceled work for like 3 days while they were trying to ventilate the restaurant. The worst part about it, out of everything else, you gotta evacuate the restaurant, you gotta evacuate the kitchen. That sucks. I felt worse for the people that were in the attached hotel because they were effectively getting pepper sprayed in their rooms as it was going, at least up to the second floor.
Oh
So,
my
to
gosh.
say the least, somebody lost their job that day for a couple of reasons, but key of which was safety. They did not follow safety because they cut corners.
That is definitely a story I will never hear anywhere else.
I felt like I was in some twisted Scooby-Doo movie kind of thing. Like, oh look, a fire. Oh no, pepper spray.
um, the visuals I was getting were very movie-like, and now that you say Scooby-Doo, yep, I see that too. That was glorious. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, my executive chef described that moment like a nightmarish Charlie Chaplin movie in real life.
A nightmarish Charlie Chaplin movie. Can I get that on a t-shirt and then like an image of what's going on?
Who knows? Maybe I'll get to merch and I'll throw that on a shirt someday.
Is that how you figured out the flower thing, or was that after?
Oh, that was that. I figured out the flower thing growing up. Um, so I grew up in the country, and most country families you'll find are extremely self-reliant. Um, and I learned from a young age that if there's ever a grease fire in the kitchen, always avoid using flour, cinnamon especially, but just avoid powdered stuff in general. You would always keep a big old bag or box of salt right next to your stovetop, not for seasoning, but just in case you needed it. So I learned that lesson at a young age, and that was kind of cemented into place during my safety training going into kitchen work.
It's a pretty nice lesson to know at an early age. Now, weird question for you, and you can decline to answer. Is there a box of salt near your stove right now?
So I actually have both a box of salt and a bag of sugar next to my stove. Um, Usually not because I'm concerned that I will have a fire, but because I forget that they're there and I use them in so many things. Like I use sugar in sauces. So they just stay there. They live there, and that's just how it is. But if ever I did have a grease fire, I would be prepared.
Please let it be known that I am now going to be a little bit more prepared simply because of your assistance today and your knowledge.
Hey, one additional safe person means that more people will become safe learning from that safe person.
That is a very good point, and that is why I like being able to have conversations and share knowledge, which kind of brings me to kind of a wrapping up point. I do have prior things to take care of this evening. But you can decline. You're more than welcome to decline. It doesn't matter. This is our show. But I'd like to have you on again, and hopefully have you on with video next time, and we can show off the video VTuber powers that be, if that's okay with you.
I would be honored to come back. This has been fun. I enjoy having these conversations. They're constructive. So yeah, I would love to come back.
All right, awesome. Then in that case, thank you so much for being here. If you have anything you want to say or ask to wrap it up and like talk about in the next 10 to 15, we have about that, or we can just, cut it here and say our farewells.
Well, only thing I got to say is, for those of you, please go back and check out the rest of the episodes of this podcast. You'll learn a lot about Mars. Fantastic things. You'll get to know Mars so much better, and I highly recommend it. Additionally, no obligation. If y'all want to come by the streams, get some sleep, get some cozy vibes, please come on in. I'll be happy to have y'all there. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to add.
All right, well, thank you again for being here, and thank you for those very kind words. I don't know how to take compliments other than say thank you, so thank you. I hope all of you I hope all of you have a great night. Thank you for joining us on episode 40 of the Digital Quill podcast. I will be leaving links in the below for you to be able to join Aether streams. And do you have a Discord? Can I share that with the class too?
Sure. Let me get you a link that I can provide for that, a permanent link that does not expire.
All right, awesome. I will add that to the description.
There you go.
All right, thank you everyone. Thank you, Aether. I hope everyone has a great night or day, whatever it may be. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.